Your outlook is what creates the circumstances. Everyone thinks it's the other way around. So you're attempting to control the circumstances is exhausting because number one, no one wants you to change or fix them. Number two, you can't do it. It's impossible according to universal law. Number three, it's not your job. Number four, it's all already worked out. It's taken care of.
In life, we end up making decisions that we're not vibrationally aligned for and ready for. And that when we do that, it may seem like at that time, okay, it might work, but later down the line, you will eventually start hitting rocks in the road. And then those rocks build up as resentment. And then you'll end up in really bad, crash and burn situations.
In every moment, you have the opportunity to choose to be a brand new person in a brand new moment with a brand new vibration and brand new beliefs.
All right. Welcome to the Aligners Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nikhil Sharma, and I'm so grateful to have y'all here with us today. Today's topic, we're going to be discussing the illusion of time, or what is divine timing and how can we achieve that? Joining us today, as always, is the lovely transformational coach, the excitement whisperer, and the author of The Best Life Ever, Taylor Wells. Welcome, Taylor. So glad to have you back here today.
Happy to be here, Dr. Nick. I'm going to call you Dr. Nick from now on, okay?
Sounds good. It's kind of funny because when I relate to Dr. Nick, I think about Dr. Nick from The Simpsons and how dysfunctional he was, like Dr. Nick Riviera. And it's just like, I love it because I feel like
I don't know who that is. I've never seen that show.
For those that understand The Simpsons and Dr. Nick Riviera, I think you could probably associate me with him in some kind of way. So I love it. And I'm just excited to have you here today and to talk about this great topic on timing and our relationship with timing. Growing up, as soon as we are born, we are conditioned to live a certain life that needs to be accomplished by a certain time. So that means that we must reach these certain milestones by, say, the age of 5 years old, we need to be in first grade. Then by the age of 17, 18 years old, we need to be finishing off high school and getting ready to go to some prestigious university, because that is what a sense of accomplishment means, is to go to college by a certain age so that you can be on track to continue living this life that has been predestined for you based on what societal norms are. And now, for instance, we'll just take myself, for example. By the time I got to 21, I was, needing to be ready to get into medical school because, again, this is all based on my age and my timing and what I'm expected to kind of become. Then by the time I turn 26, 27, it's just so funny how these timings are like reverberating through my mind right now, because I remember my parents and society like telling me I need to hit these milestones by these times, right? Yeah. So by 26, 27, I need to finish medical school from a prestigious, medical institution and getting ready to get into a residency that was going to bring me a lot of fulfillment. Most importantly, it was going to bring me a lot of money, then a lot of name and recognition, so that I could buy a nice big house and fill that house with a lovely, beautiful wife, as well as 2 or 3 kids minimum. And that all needed to happen by the time I was 30 years old. Well, guess what? I'm 43 years old now, and I don't have a wife. I don't have that large, big house. I did accomplish some of those milestones along the way, but not all of them. And so there was a period in my time that it was almost reinforced to me that, well, you're not married by the age of 30, so something must be wrong with you. There has to be, right? Because everyone else seems to be getting ready and married by that time period. Why aren't you, Nick? And so that kind of, sat with me for a long time. I started to question myself. And I think it is almost natural for people to question themselves because, again, we've been conditioned by society as to what it means to be successful and when you have to accomplish that by. So when you don't reach those milestones, naturally, you think something is wrong with you because everyone else is hitting those milestones, at least a majority of the people around you. And so I come to you, Taylor, and wondering about your experiences, with time and how that's affected, your life. And, how did you change that relationship you had with time in order to get into that flow, into that divine timing?
Wow, that was, first of all, synchronicity, because we began this fabulous podcast about time, changing our beliefs and relationship with time at 11:11 Eastern Standard Time. And you were on a roll, so I didn't want to interrupt you. And then it became 11:12, and those are both really cool numbers. And the 11:11 is significant because it is reflective of self-reflection, okay? And what you have just described wisely is, and inquired about is, Taylor, how did you change your relationship with time, which includes, and I would suggest begins with my belief about time. So first of all, thank you for having me. I'm so appreciative. I love chatting with Dr. Nick. Now I'm going to have to go look up whatever you said, The Simpsons. Is that what you said? And see who this is. Yeah. So I didn't have TV for a long time, so I don't know about a lot of shows, but that'll be fun. So, and I always have all the time that I need to do everything that is relevant to me and my theme here in Earth School. So that's a little bit of a hint there. So I love everything that you said, because I believe that a lot of people listening will relate to everything you said. I mean, not the specifics, of course. However, the kind of idea about time and this kind of relationship with time. And if you really walk around today, everyone, after you hear this, or tonight, whenever you do hear this, and listen to how people speak about time, it's fascinating, because most people are unaware, they're asleep about how their relationship with time, which begins with their belief about time, is managing their entire moments in life, because everything is now. So I love what you said, Dr. Nick, because you said, you had been kind of programmed, if you will, pretty much from 0, baby, to 7. That's when we're kind of picking up these things. I like to say it's kind of like the Jell-O mold, right? And is the mold set or not? Well, the great news is that in every moment, you have the opportunity to choose to be a brand new person in a brand new moment with a brand new vibration and brand new beliefs. Okay. Now, I told Dr. Nick that I chose, I was pulling cards last night. I have an inspiration card deck that I published. However, I also write cards on handwritten daily. I have thousands of them. And I was choosing some last night as my chickens and I were watching Seinfeld in German, because we're learning German right now. And this one is an interesting one. Okay, so is that forward or backwards? Can you read that?
I can read that. Beliefs are easy to change.
Yeah. So it's interesting because most people, if you read this or if I say it, in fact, once I said it to my handsome husband, we were walking home from the bus. I always remember this, bus stop. And I said, beliefs are easy to change. And he blurted out, and he's with me all day long, every day for 25 years, okay, hearing this stuff. He said, well, that's just not true. He just blurted it out. And I said, that's a belief, which you can imagine didn't go over so well, right? But he's very mellow, whatever. So he didn't kind of say anything back, but I felt the energy. I noted it. What's interesting is about a week later, we were talking about something, and I referenced back to that moment when I said beliefs are easy to change. And he said, I never said that. And I believe that he believes he never said that, because a week later, we're always expanding and growing, unless we're not, if we're resisting it, right? When we resist it, that's where we suffer. When we resist the expansion that is natural, I believe that the week later, he didn't remember that, because you actually create your history, Dr. Nick, from now. So when you change and you become a new person that you choose to be, your history has changed, and so does your memory, therefore. And you hear this all the time. There's the Mandela effect. You see people saying like, well, it didn't happen that way. And yes, some people have, issues with memory. That's a medical thing, and I'm not a medical doctor. However, as you shift and change through your beliefs, and then your emotions, your thoughts, and your actions change, so does then your memory of your history. So I know my handsome husband very well, and he believed that. And I was not going to argue with him. I was like, rock on. Because that's a belief that's not going to serve you, right? That they're hard. So the idea, everyone, about time is that here's a little homework for you guys. If you choose to take what you want, leave the rest. As you walk through your day or night today or tomorrow, notice how you and others speak about time, okay? Because it's funny, because when I work with my coaching clients, I tell them, please don't mince your words, just speak from your heart. However, I do stop them when they say certain things that are not going to behoove them regarding what they choose, prefer, and resonate with in their life. You'll notice I almost never, use the word want. And the reason why it's ideal to use the words choose or resonate with or prefer is because back to time, everything is now. So when you say, I want more time, okay? The universe says, oh, Dr. Nick, there he is. He's in wanting, leave him, and goes on to someone else who's saying, I choose. This is euphemistic, of course. I'm kind of using visualizations. The universe goes on to someone who says, you know what? I've had it with this suffering of feeling like I'm behind the 8 ball, and each day I just transfer all the things I didn't finish today to tomorrow, and I feel like I'm not good enough, and there's never enough time, and I'm stuck and powerless, and all these things. And what am I supposed to do? There's only 24 hours in a day, all that stuff. I actually just heard a documentary about a woman who became a yogi from Colorado. She passed away, but anyway, it just came up on Netflix, and we watched it, and she was saying all these things actually at the Harvard Divinity School about being an entrepreneur, and how everyone knows when you're an entrepreneur, you just don't sleep. And 20 years later, you realize you have no relationships because all you've done is work. I don't believe any of that. Okay. I believe that she believed it. She's in non-physical now. She passed away at 41. I don't believe any of that, therefore I don't live it. Now, if it sounds familiar to you, I understand, because I too felt that way many years ago. And I remember saying to Philippe, do you think your mom could come and help? Because we have 5 chickens, 5 kids, and we didn't have any help as far as like babysitters or au pairs or things like that. Like we're just very private, and we preferred to just tag team with our yoga studios and my writing and stuff. So that's what we did. And I was falling into that, what you were describing before, that kind of bottomless pit of the emails and the this and the that, with 5 yoga studios and a restaurant and 5 chickens and newborn babies who've nursed every 2 hours and all that, twins. Yeah. So I asked Philippe, do you think your mom might be able to come and help? And then I could do these emails. I'll always remember this moment, okay? if I can just get on top of these emails, there were emails from the studios, can I renew my tent pass and all that kind of stuff. And in that moment, I really got it. I realized, wait a minute, everything is now. So if I change my belief now about this, I cannot fix this through action. Because remember, it starts like this, everyone. You can remember it by beta. That's how I remember it. Belief is first. That's your foundation, all right? Then comes the emotion. I'm overwhelmed, I'm panicked, I'm anxious, I'm stressed. I have 10,000 emails. Thoughts, then you get into the thoughts about that, blah, 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 blah. And then the action. So what most people do, and if you're doing this, I get it, I did it, it can't work. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not because you are a failure. By the way, your only job, my belief, take what you want, leave the rest, in this earth school is to be authentically you. All right?
100%.
That's it. Now, most of you, your inner critics are like, yeah, that's a load of crap because I need to go to medical school. I need to blah, 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 all that stuff. The amazing paradox is when you are authentically you. I'm going to explain why. My voice is so revved up right now because I'm so excited. Whew. Is because when you're authentically you, you are the puzzle piece that fits. So if any of you have ever done a picture puzzle, right? The pieces fit, and when they fit, it works. The picture works, right? The exact same thing. So when you're authentically you, it all fits, and paradoxically, by letting go, it all gets done. And this is what happened in that moment, Dr. Nick. I literally wrote a card that I didn't believe yet. And it said, I am always ahead on everything. So instead of like, I'm going to get everything done or whatever, I am always ahead on it. That's where I started. Okay. I was just figuring this out. And that literally, this is how the universe works. All these forces go like this. So the universe can only work, Dr. Nick, based upon your beliefs. That's all it has to work on. It doesn't have an emotion. It's not saying, no, don't give him that. Don't give him that. It's literally looking at you and saying, what is he churning out to me? Overwhelmed. Want more time. Want. Not enough time. Ha, ha, ha. Like everyone loves to tell jokes about that. I don't. Yeah. You'll never hear me say that ever. Right. Because I train myself. All right, I'm going to stop. Do you have a question?
No. I was just relating to what you're saying because the universe does give you the energy that you are in. And oftentimes because we are trained to go up this ladder of life that has been constructed, hundreds of years before us, that everyone must assume to start climbing. You begin that climb, yet on that climb, you have no idea. There's no destination for you. You have not, compiled an end destination. So you aren't really ever in the now. You are always thinking about what the next step is going to be. And what's happening in the now is that you are trying to control whatever situation and environment you are in to make sure you're able to survive it and get to that next step in life. And I only really realized that recently because it's such a subconscious thing that happens within us that as a form of survival, we need to control our atmosphere, our environment, our relationships, the timings that these things occur in our life so that I can get to the age of 40 and making sure I have 2 kids and making sure I have $5 million in the bank account, making sure I'm a member of this country golf club, yada, 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 right? It's all something that has been programmed in us. And then we begin to start controlling those milestones. So to let you know how it happened for me was that when I was 25, 26, the girl that I was dating at the time, we were dating for many years. I think we started dating at the age of 18. She came to me and was like, Nick, we've been dating for quite a while in our society. we probably need to make the jump to get engaged at the minimum. It doesn't really look good if someone's been dating, that's Indian, I want to say,
how romantic.
7 years. I know, exactly. So, and at that time, I was in medical school. So I hadn't really gotten my feet on the ground. I was still in that grind mode, but I had this, it's not like an ultimatum, but, an approach. It was either let's get married or engaged, or let's just break up, and or at least take time apart so that she can do her own thing, and then I could figure it out my own thing. And then if things will work out, if it was divine timing, like it would work out. At that time, I kind of took that as well, you know what, like this is already there. So in order to control the situation, you know what, like, so that I'm not having, because she was providing a lot of emotional support to me, right? And something I realized I had codependency issues. So, but I didn't realize that.
How do you define that for our listeners who don't know what that means?
Yeah. Meaning, like, I was feeling there was an aspect of me that I didn't feel whole in. And I felt like I needed a female in my life to complete me and provide me emotional support so that I could keep ascending in my own career, but have that like love and support that I felt I needed to help me reach those professional milestones. So you
weren't enough without her. Is that right?
Exactly. Okay. That was the feeling I had, that I wasn't enough without her. And so I decided to be like, you know what? I don't want to lose her, because that would mean I'll lose my stability. At least that was my thought process. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? Let's just get engaged. That's it. Even though like I knew at that point, vibrationally, this didn't make sense. Like you said about fitting that puzzle perfectly, that piece of puzzle into the puzzle. It would be like as if it was the wrong end of that puzzle, and I'm trying to now, when you have to smush that
cram
puzzle,
it in.
You're trying to make it fit. That's what I was trying to do. And so what happened there? Yes, we got engaged. However, that day I went to go propose. She was like, this doesn't feel right. Like, she could feel like it was forced. And even though she put the ring on, she knew something wasn't right. And then what happened was at the end of that week, she was like, you know what, this doesn't feel right. Let's take a step back and stop this. So we, she took off the ring. But what was crazy was that, she then later found out that I had, because I was living on the island, that I had gone out and, made out with another girl. And so that all came out. But, but that's the thing. It's because, obviously there was a vibrational misalignment. And what was happening was, instead of me being courageous enough to feel that I should have gone and talked to her, that, been like, you know what, we should separate from this. Yeah. I was being controlled by a subconscious belief that things need to happen at a certain time. And I began to use that timing as a sense of needing to control aspects of my life. And so I hope that story at least resonates with other individuals where you're feeling like, hey, in life we end up making decisions that we're not vibrationally aligned for and ready for. And that when we do that, it may seem like at that time, okay, it might work, but later down the line, you will eventually start hitting rocks in the road, and then those rocks build up as resentment, and then you'll end up in really bad, crash and burn situations. And thank God in this situation, she had the maturity and the intuition, I want to say, to be able to realize that something wasn't right. But many people don't have that. Many people could look at it as like, this is a meal ticket to, just as a ticket. Hey, this makes sense. We've been dating for a long time. All of our families know each other. So leaving that kind of situation makes it really tough, especially when it comes to timing. Again, timing, because he's 25 years old, 26. Then there's a thought of like, oh, well, how am I going to find somebody else? Are they going to think I'm good enough? Right. So these are the thoughts where time starts kicking into our brain and actually keep us stuck in these misaligned situations because we don't feel like we're good enough to find something that is better or that's more aligned for us.
And I have so many questions, and I do want to focus on time, but I have a couple things because it's so amazing. Thank you. I know a lot of people relate to that on so many levels. How did you know that? So first of all, she, bless her heart, was a cooperative component, teamed up with your higher being. So everybody, everyone out there, you have a higher being, your authentic self who's on the mountain. And then you have your ego mind, sometimes called inner critic, here in the valley. Okay. And the inner critic, Dr. Nick's inner critic said, let's stay with this. Are you an idiot? Do not break up with her. You know, you're on the track, blah, 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 blah. She's perfectly nice, or you love her, whatever. Even if it doesn't feel right, don't listen to that. Whereas his higher mind, right, was saying everything but he didn't listen, because most people, when we're asleep, meaning all that means, it's not a derogatory term at all. It just means that we're unaware of this higher self who's there. Okay. And I say higher and lower just so you can imagine everybody like on the mountain. So seas and then lower mind, but they're all wonderful. They're all a part of you, but you get to choose who you listen to. But at age 25, as one of my clients said, she said, I was young and dumb, which is really funny, regarding something she did, not about love. But Dr. Nick's lower mind was like, are you out of your mind? Stay with this. You're on track. You know, and by the way, after you go study for your exam, you idiot. And when it talks to you like that, or you feel like there's no way out, you know it's the lower mind, because your higher mind is like, sure, whatever you want to do, you could, stay with her, break up, because your higher mind doesn't need to pitch to you, because positive beliefs are who you are, and your higher mind knows eventually all roads lead home. Okay. Yeah. Eventually he knows that it's all going to turn out well. The movie turns out well. But what Dr. Nick's higher mind did was synced with her higher mind. Okay. And pulled in a cooperative component. And that's why she said, doesn't feel right. Do you understand that? What happened?
I completely understand like what happened, and she was able to tap into her higher mind and able to see that something is misaligned, that there is not an authenticity here. And she was able to take a step back and then subsequently find out that there was a misalignment, which is, again, everything that's done in the dark will eventually come into the light to give you the answers that you need. However, if I was acting out of my lower self, which is that control, which is that, programmed mind that was like, you know what? Look, we can get through this. Like, I need to stay focused on this one aspect of my life and let this other aspect, work itself out. And that's that control. That's that part of where timing, affects. We have this anxiety-ridden relationship with time, because we don't look at time as infinite. We look at time as scarcity, that there's not enough time, that if I don't get married now, that it won't happen again, that, because of my age, I'll be considered damaged goods, whatever, thought process that you need to tell yourself. It's this relationship that we have with time that we think that it has to happen, at a certain period of life, because we've been conditioned to think that way, and B, that we don't have enough time to realign, and that, again, that has to do with our conditioning to believe that if we aren't married or accomplish certain accomplishments at a certain age, we're never going to accomplish them. So that needs to really change.
So what you just said is beliefs are easy to change. So I'm going to now you keep using a word that's very, very wise. So Dr. Nick keeps saying control. And I am going to explain something that, if it resonates, will provide a tremendous amount of relief
Yeah.
And remember, whatever I talk about, if it resonates, keep it. And sometimes you might just kind of dissociate, space out for a little while and not really listen. And that's cool because your brain is going to take in what it's ready to hear now. And maybe later you'll be like gardening or biking or, meditating or working, whatever. And all of a sudden it will download into your brain something that Dr. Nick said, or I said, or what someone else said. And then you know that you are always being provided, always, with support, not just from Dr. Nick and from me. You have a whole team, okay, which is a whole different podcast. I have so many ideas for podcasts. However, for this now moment, control. All right. So what would you say if I told you that you, Dr. Nick, and every single human listening to this, exactly, precisely, and correctly the exact amount of time that you, quote unquote, need in this lifetime in Earth school? You have that guaranteed. What would you say?
I would say that yes, I believe that. And I look at life and that aspect now. And I look at life as that in the aspect of all the things that have happened in my life, all the experiences, every single one of them. I'm looking at all of them as lessons to be able to get to the state of being and mindset that I am right now. And that I'm not trading any of those experiences to be where I'm at now, because otherwise I would never be in this elevated mindset, in this higher version of myself, if I hadn't gone through that. Subsequently, it just so happens that it happened at the age of the earth age, I would like to use, of 43. And it doesn't mean that that's my soul's age, because that's, I feel, is something totally different. And my mindset is that our lives are eternal. We live on past when we leave this physical dimension of earth. We will continue our journey. We are just here for a finite amount of time. And so that's what gets clouded into our reality, is that, oh my God, we're only here for a certain amount of years. And so if we don't do this and that by a certain time, well, we're never going to be able to accomplish it. And that's where your mindset.
Okay, stop right there. Yeah, here it is. Ready? I love everything you said. Actually, I'm going to say one thing I'm going to pile on to what Dr. Nick said with the visual. What he said, which is very, very wise, is when we, for example, say, I want to redo. Why did it take me this number of years to get to blah, 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 and I'm not here and whatever. What we're doing is we are invalidating our path, our stepping stones that I created, because everything is self-imposed. So one thing that's really important before you really hear anything is that you understand that you are a vibrational being and you create everything. Okay. So that doesn't mean I create the good stuff, but the sucky stuff is someone else's fault. It doesn't work that way. Okay. And this is just how creation, functions. This is not a euphemism. This isn't a cute meme for social media. This is how reality works and creation works. Okay. So what Dr. Nick said was, he has understood now that every stepping stone that Dr. Nick created, no one else created it. Okay. Yes, people spoon fed him stuff. Okay. They fed him stuff besides baby food, and they meant well. I'm going with that narrative because it feels good. Everyone meant well, did the best they could. Now, every step forward, as he validates it, like, oh, that kind of sucks, but I learned this, and so here I go, he gets to step forward. Whenever you invalidate the stepping stone you're on, like, this really sucks. Now, of course, say it sucks. 15 seconds I'll give you. We talked about that last time. 15 seconds, feel it, then move to what you prefer. Once you do that, guess what? You can step forward. If you don't, if you're like, the stepping stone vanishes. And when you're not on a stone, you can't step. Okay. That's a big, big, big important point about time. Now, Another important point is you're not behind. I'm not ahead of anyone. Everyone has this now moment, and every moment, there is never tomorrow. When I ask you what time is it, it's never yesterday, it's never tomorrow, it's always now. Okay? So it's always now. So all of your power is now. And I know it's hard to really grasp that, so I'm going to explain this. So the more you pay attention to time, and I'm a Virgo, so let me tell you, I lived this times 1,000 until I understood this. You know that feeling when you're like, okay, I mean, my friends in college used to joke because I'd be like, 10 to 10:10, I'm going to do this. 10:10 to 10:23, and one of my best friends is laughing right now because she used to make fun of me for this. I don't do that at all anymore. You know why? Because I totally, completely, 100%, not even trust or believe. I know that when I follow the formula, meaning following in each moment, what am I excited about doing right then? And it doesn't have to be some huge thing. It's just, what am I being drawn to? Okay, not what should I do? And, yes, there's some. That's step one. Follow your excitement. Step two, act. Okay, so when Steven Spielberg is filming a film, okay, what does he say? Action. All right? Without action, it doesn't matter. The universe doesn't care what you've done. It's not interested. It doesn't want to hear about 20 years ago when you did this, or even yesterday. What are you doing now? Now, what are your beliefs now? That's where it starts. So when you're focused on time, you guys, what happens is you then, paradoxically, now you're going to get confused, but listen for a second. You create more time, which at first people are like, cool, I want to create more time. No, you don't. When you're in the now, okay, and let's say you have just kind of the afternoon open to be in flow, be in the now, right, which I love, and you're in the now, and all of a sudden you look and you go, it's been 5 hours. I thought it was like 5 minutes. Are you kidding me right now? But you were in flow, you were in joy, you were excited. You aged 5 minutes, not 5 hours, because you didn't create the time. Because remember, you're the creator. Time and space, right, is 3D. Time is an illusion. It's very malleable. You can mold it. Yes. Now, remember, where's my card? Beliefs are easy to change. Your lower mind, your inner critic is not buying any of this, okay? It's like, she's so full of shit, blah, blah, blah. Now, the good news is I had multiple people for years saying to me, how do you do everything that you do? Are you really that happy? And do you ever sleep? So that's why I wrote my book and my deck, okay? And so I have kind of the data, right? And I sleep 7.5 hours every night. All right. So no, I'm not stressed all the time. I exist. This is not me saying, oh, I'm so much better. This is me saying this is your birthright and this is natural. Okay. It's unnatural to feel, I call it flompily, but out of flow. So it's just about remembering who you are. It's not about learning anything, okay? It's about going, oh my God, I kind of really want to believe that, but it be that easy. But if I follow my excitement, I'm just going to be poor and be living in the streets. No. And Dr. Nick said, we all believe blah, blah, blah. I don't believe that. And that's okay. He's talking to you guys and you guys believe it, but you can choose, and this is how you do it, all right? Notice that. Here's an exercise. Take 2 hours, or whatever your belief will allow you to do, okay? Take 2 hours. And here's another belief people have in this culture. If I'm really busy and I have my whole calendar full, I'm successful. I'm so busy. So I don't believe that at all, personally. I love open time, and I just go into my zone and I just do whatever I feel like. And no, I'm not laying on the couch eating bonbons, by the way. when you are following excitement, you cannot not act. You're like, get out of my way because I want to do this, okay? Yeah. And that's how it feels. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. I agree. You have this excitement, and say this excitement is A, choosing a new career, B, leaving a current marriage that you're in to pursue true emotional fulfillment. See whatever that is. But you have this excitement. Now, what are you going to do about that excitement? You got to take action. You have to do something. You have to take a step forward. You have to create the company logo, whatever it is. You have to actually move. So that process can be a little daunting because of all the thoughts that are coming into your head that are causing you to remain stuck because fear comes into place, or what if this happens, or what if that happens? And that's the problem. We start living into the future too much. We get so much out of our head that we don't make any progress, that we freeze. So it is important that in that process of you going from chasing your highest excitement to taking action, just do understand, yes, there may be some drawbacks, but those drawbacks are all in your head. They are drawbacks that we have created, that have come with a long time of conditioning. They've come with wounding to our hearts, numerous ways that we have been programmed. But the good thing that Taylor says and preaches is that we can change those beliefs. Right? That's very important, is changing those beliefs, changing our thoughts, because our thoughts aren't always real. They're not always right. Let's get that.
Hold on. So your thought, I'm going to go back to drawbacks. Yeah. So I love everything you said. I'm just going to change a few words, and I'm glad you said it. So a drawback implies drawing you back, and you cannot be pulled back. It's impossible, and you can never be stuck. What you're doing when you feel stuck, everybody, and everyone comes to me saying that they feel stuck, you are reality looping. So you are taking a habit, which is like saying whatever you say. I won't say any of the critic beliefs because I don't want to encourage them, but you know what they are. You know who you are. And you're looping them, and you are taking colors from your canvas behind you, the past, and painting it in front of you, even though you don't prefer those colors. And then you're becoming a victim, and you're blaming everyone else. You blame, you complain, you justify. What Nick said accurately, I'm just changing the word drawback, is that you will be afraid 100%. And I just said to my 27-year-old oldest chicken a couple of days ago, I was talking to her in the morning, and she had a bunch of meetings that day, and she had some fear. And I said, how exciting. Okay? Because that's what I do. I flip it, and I said, I am afraid every single day, every day. And what I do is I immediately flip the fear, because everything is a two-sided coin. Okay? So when you're afraid, that is just energy. All right? From a belief that's saying whatever, you're going to blow this, or you're not good enough, or all this stuff. These inner critics, they need some new material because they all say the same thing. But you say, all right, you answer the door, you go right to fear. You invited fear, so go answer the door instead of like, no, I'm scared. Because fear wants you to stay here with me. You're miserable, but at least you know what it's like, and at least you won't look like more of an idiot when you screw up. You cannot screw up, because as long as you're being you, okay, you're either going to shine, or you're going to go, next time I'll do it differently. And then you use this 2-word mantra. So what? That's it. Who cares? Yep. And then you move forward. So that's beautiful. What you want to do, you guys, I want to give you I have so many ideas for you here. I pulled so many cards. So basically, when you do live in the moment, here's the concept. You don't create as much of an experience of time. And I know that's confusing because you're like, I want more time. But when you create time, I've got this list of things. Don't you ever wonder how the list just keeps getting bigger and you never get to the bottom of it? Yeah. When I tell you that once I understood this, at the end of the day, when I follow my excitement, which I always do, at the end of the day, when I'm excited to go to sleep, what didn't get done didn't need to be done that day because of what? Divine timing. Bam. And I know that.
There it is. I love it. That's you hit the punchline right on the head. Is that when you get into that mentality of whatever was supposed to happen in the day,
yes,
it happened. That's all that needed to happen for all the different circumstances. And tomorrow I can start fresh again and then set out to accomplish things. But I'm okay with whatever
excitement.
From excitement. I'm okay with having those things accomplished from an excitement level, and whatever happens throughout that day, that was all that was needed to happen. And that is truly what being in flow state is. That is what divine timing is that whatever has happened in that day is happening for your highest good. And so you have to perceive it.
Everyone, remember the puzzle?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone around you's highest good. So when you start perceiving life that way, you will actually notice more and more great things are happening in your life. You'll notice more and more of your tasks being accomplished, and you're creating more time. It's like this abundancy that starts forming because all you're focused on is that day, being in the now, and then whatever has happened in that day, that was all that was needed to happen for you to be successful for that day.
Yes, and that is, and Nick said many times, Dr. Nick said many times, control, and that, there are two concepts, and we'll do another podcast about this. Yeah. There is the power of illusion, and there is the illusion of power. And when Nick was talking about control earlier, he was referring to the illusion of power, okay, which can never work because you cannot control circumstances. You can control your outlook. And the best news about that is your outlook is what creates the circumstances. Everyone thinks it's the other way around. So you're attempting to control the circumstances. It's exhausting because number one, no one wants you to change or fix them. Number two, you can't do it. It's impossible according to universal law. Number three, it's not your job. Number four, it's all already worked out. It's taken care of. When what? You follow your excitement because your excitement is your higher mind's language to you. Now, I'm going to finish with the power of illusion. The power of illusion is that Dr. Nick is a crystal, and from his crystal, light emanates through and projects his reality. Okay? So if right now he just decided to believe that all of this is true, and if he follows the formula, every single thing that needs to happen today happens, and he goes to sleep, sleeps well, and then guess what? You'll start to see this, everybody, the next day when you're like, oh, those 27 things that I thought I was going to do. Every person, you'll see, oh, that's why that didn't happen. Oh, they took care of that. It all gets taken care of, and you're like, am I really living in a dream? That's what it feels like.
Love that. And I have one great analogy for people just to think about. And imagine ourselves going down a river. We are on our tube, and we have a cooler that's attached to us. And, we're just going about life. We're